Now, this is from one of my old Facebook profiles, Rage Baiting Women, but some things never change. I'm going to do a whole list of all the PSYOPs, the rage baits, the CIA operations, the Mossad infiltrations, the virus software, the Pegasus, the Palantir, everything, and show you how the government and agents have been using technology and special operations to either silence me or overshadow me or make me unsuccessful in their intentions, intentionally doing it. But starting out 2019, I came on TikTok in like 2019 as like a Starseed ambassador, cosmic wizard, and I was doing videos on math, esoteric knowledge, and all this other stuff. Well, this other guy, this younger guy, Yam Socks, who lives very close to me in Canada across the border, started doing material just like mine and then just blew up, went viral, right? And then I kind of pivoted to, Sethian Gnosticism and Enochian magic, and he kind of pivoted to Hinduism, right? So I was unbothered. But in my study, I was talking about the differences in spectrums and how the color palette works with the draconian alphabet and all that aligns together, right? And then another guy doing the exact same research just set off and went viral and overshadowed what I was doing, even though I was explaining the exact same sign. Now, all this stuff I was talking about came from the books I wrote and it had to do with twin flames, right? And they couldn't really, like, I was so far academically and intellectually ahead of them that the psyops couldn't compete. Like, CIA didn't know what I was talking about or what I was doing or what Enochian magic was. And so they could not mimic my whole twin flame starseed reading thing. And so they chose to vilify me because there's no other way to get rid of it. So they hauled me off to jail and say that I'm like harassing people or whatever, right? And they make this Hollywood special called Escaping Twin Flames. And what this is these were paid crisis actors that made up the scenario. They had no idea what Enochian magic was. They didn't know the math or the astrology or anything, and acted out this scenario, this religious scenario where they were like forcing people into forced marriages or whatever, forced relationships, or to break up with their significant other. And they began slamming like my whole philosophy, right? And this blows up like while I'm in jail, right? They start just like slamming everything I do. And actual supposed like victims of this thing that happened in Los Angeles County, right? This Twin Flame Church come forward and they're advocates for the alphabet community, right? Because Twin Flames has to do with monogamous hetero relationships and kind of the antithesis for this whole philosophy. They even like made this weird like voodoo doll kind of imitation of me with the exact same like wood cabin and drippy clock and everything. Now see, I write this book and then I make digital copies, and somehow my research ends up in a scientific journal article plagiarized by some other scientist, right? So they're trying to piggyback off my success at this. And around the same time, people start making up things called the Emerald Tablets of Thoth, which was the psyop to basically talk about my book without saying my book and my name, right? And he says it's like the most concentrated rendition of truth of esoteric knowledge ever in my book, which essentially it was. But this is the Emerald Tablets didn't exist at all. This is a psyop to detract from what I was doing. And I tried to have the book published, but apparently all the 95% of the publishing companies are owned by Massadis and JEWs. And so they were trying to steal my book without publishing it. And instead of helping me publish my book, around the same time, these identical books, Book of Wisdom, basically spoofing off mine, but not without the detailed, translations and everything, and proof, scientific proof, which is kind of, AI slop bullcrap. They put it into these books to sell to kind of, well, people were looking for my book. They ended up finding these books instead, and they capitalized on my successes, essentially. And part of what I've studied is basically Sumerian, Draconian language, cuneiform, things like that. And that's the content I'm trying to put on. And then instantly, like, there's people who come out and start doing the same content as I'm doing and go like instantly. I was also explaining things in terms of Egyptian Coptic languages and hieroglyphics and such. And then, another person just blows up like million followers and everything doing the same material I'm doing, right? And they create this viral trans, which is basically I'm a public speaker, a teacher, and experiencer of the alien. Like they copied verbatim and then like made this spoof ambassador. Like my job, Abba Muahu Kalunas, it's a title, not a name. Like I'm a priest, ambassador, and so this person just totally spoofs my thing without knowing anything about Enochian magic or even like, I mean, since it does rely on conservative values, this person wouldn't really be included in the group. You know what I'm saying? So this is more to make fun of me or mock me. It's like a CIA op. And my real name, my birth name is Jordan. And so if I'm going to like pivot to my birth name like in my profile, I'm also the year of the horse. They take basically any type of my stellium or my personality or whatever I do and then make it go viral for somebody else. Like this person, he just does product reviews and it's like 20 million. It's ridiculous. And then again, another Jordan Starchild, like guiding humanity messenger, like all this stuff, like directly from my, like copying from my original thing back in 2019. This my profile says like Space Warlock. They put Jordan, and this is like if somebody's looking for my profile or my person, instantly all these people with similar names and stuff pop up before mine, and mine doesn't even show up on the search. And then people even make these profiles where like their whole personality is like escaping twin flames because it's like so threatening because they're forced into it or something. And then my book on basically astrophysics and things like plasma consciousness was stolen like a year ago, right? And then like people put out these books that are the exact same material that I wrote on, who actually claim to have once been in the CIA, literally. And literally I can tell I'm being hacked because this thing called double click jacking, I always have to press twice, and every time I upload the captions, it says the first times it says it does not work, and I'm getting flagged for comments that aren't offensive. So like I'm being, there's like there's a serious like hacker presence. There might like two or three different organizations monitoring everything I do, trying to steal my intellectual property. This girl comes out and starts doing quoting stuff from Sage AI, which is literally taken verbatim from my book, like completely like plagiarized, and has to do with like esoteric knowledge and Sethian Gnosticism and all these things. And like it literally, like I have copies of it, and I'm just like showing it like mirror value. The Palantir even makes this like security thing that represents the Council of Light with the 12 positions and everything to mimic or mock me. And as Pegasus is software that's run by everyone, I can see it on all my different things. But I'm going to leave you with like a whole bunch of stuff I'll show you that I got flagged for. It's ridiculous.